In our previous episodes, we traced the origin of Achilles, the son of a mortal king and a divine Nereid, and the complex politics that led him to the shores of Troy. We have dismantled the myths to reveal the true, nuanced figure from the primary sources, a man whose rage and grief would ultimately decide the fate of a civilization. Today we bring this epic narrative to its final, tragic close. The Trojan War was a decade-long grind. Unable to maintain a massive supply line, the Greeks raided surrounding cities. During these campaigns, 2 women, Briseis and Chryseis, were captured as spoils of war. Chryseis, the daughter of a priest of Apollo, was given to Agamemnon. When her father arrived at the Greek camp to ransom her, he was brutally dismissed by the king. In response, Apollo rained a plague upon the Achaeans. Agamemnon, forced to relinquish his prize, demanded compensation from his commanders. He turned his sights on Briseis, the woman awarded to Achilles. When Achilles refused to stand for this, Agamemnon seized her by force. Achilles, in his rage, withdrew his myrmidons, effectively leaving the Greek army to falter. As the Trojans breached the ships, Patroclus, the companion who had grown up alongside Achilles in Phthia, could no longer stand by. He begged Achilles to let him lead the Myrmidons into battle wearing Achilles' own armor. Achilles relented, but gave a dire instruction recorded in Book 16 of Homer's Iliad.
But even so, Patroclus, fall upon them and save the fleet, lest the Trojans fire it and prevent us from being able to return. Do, however, as I now bid you, that you may win me great honor from all the Danaans, and that they may restore the girl to me again, and give me rich gifts into the bargain. When you have driven the Trojans from the ships, come back again. Though Hera's thundering husband should put triumph within your reach, do not fight the Trojans further in my absence, or you will rob me of glory that should be mine. And do not for lust of battle go on killing the Trojans, nor lead the Achaeans on to Iliad, lest one of the ever-living gods from Olympus attack you. For Phoebus Apollo loves them well. Return when you have freed the ships from peril, and let others wage war upon the plain.
Patroclus, swept up in the adrenaline of the slaughter, ignored this warning. He drove the Trojans all the way to the gates of Troy. There, the god Apollo intervened, striking Patroclus to strip him of his armor. Vulnerable, he was struck by the Trojan Euphorbus, then finished by Hector. With his final breath, Patroclus warned his killer,
"Hector, vaunt as you will. For Zeus, the son of Cronus and Apollo, have vouchsafed you victory. It is they who have vanquished me so easily, and they who have stripped the armor from my shoulders. Had 20 such men as you attacked me, all of them would have fallen before my spear. Fate and the son of Leto have overpowered me, and among mortal men, Euphorbus, you are yourself third only in the killing of me. I say further, and lay my saying to your heart. You too shall live, but for a little season. Death and the day of your doom are close upon you, and they will lay you low by the hand of Achilles, son of Aeacus."
When the news reached Achilles, he vowed revenge. Thetis commissioned new armor from the blacksmith god Hephaestus, and Achilles reconciled with Agamemnon. As he mounted his chariot, he chided his horses. In Book 19 of the Iliad, Homer records, Achilles mounted his chariot in full armor, resplendent as the sun god Hyperion. Then, with a loud voice, he chided with his father's horses, saying, "Xanthus and Balius, famed offspring of Podarge, this time when we have done fighting, be sure and bring your driver safely back to the host of the Achaeans, and do not leave him dead on the plain, as you did Patroclus." Then fleet Xanthus answered under the yoke, for white-armed Hera had endowed him with human speech, and he bowed his head till his mane touched the ground.
"Dread Achilles, we will indeed save you now, but the day of your death is near, and the blame will not be ours, for it will be heaven and stern fate that will destroy you. Neither was it through any sloth or slackness on our part that the Trojans stripped Patroclus of his armor. It was the mighty god whom lovely Leto bore that slew him as he fought among the foremost and vouchsafed a triumph to Hector. We too can fly as swiftly as Zephyrus, who they say is fleetest of all winds. Nevertheless, it is your doom to fall by the hand of a man and of a god.
Achilles descended upon the Trojan army, slaughtering so many at the river Scamander that the river god rose to stop him. After the river god was driven back by the divine fire of Hephaestus, Achilles finally stood before the gates of Troy. Hector, isolated outside the walls, attempted to avoid facing Achilles, but was fooled by the goddess Athena, who took the form of his brother, into thinking he had an ally. Standing his ground, he attempted to establish terms. In Book 22 of the Iliad, Butler's translation, he says,
"I will no longer fly you, son of Peleus, as I have been doing hitherto. 3 times have I fled round the mighty city of Priam, without daring to withstand you. But now let me either slay or be slain, for I am in the mind to face you. Let us then give pledges to one another by our gods, who are the fittest witnesses and guardians of all covenants. Let it be agreed between us that if Zeus vouchsafes me the longest stay and I take your life, I am not to treat your dead body in any unseemly fashion, but when I have stripped you of your armour, I am to give up your body to the Achaeans, and do you likewise."
Achilles refused.
Fool, prate not to me about covenants. There can be no covenants between men and lions. Wolves and lambs can never be of one mind, but hate each other out and out all through. Therefore, there can be no understanding between you and me, nor may there be any covenants between us, till one or other shall fall and glut grim Ares with his life's blood. Put forth all your strength. You have need now to prove yourself indeed a bold soldier and man of war. You have no more chance, and Pallas Athena will forthwith vanquish you by my spear. You shall now pay me in full for the grief you have caused me on account of my comrades, whom you have killed in battle."
First, Achilles hurled his spear but missed his target. After that, Hector hurled his, but his spear bounced from the shield of Achilles. Then he turned to his brother to ask for a second spear. However, there was no one beside him. Realizing he had been tricked by the gods, he cried out,
"Alas, the gods have lured me onto my destruction. I deemed that the hero Deiphobus was by my side, but he is within the walls, and Pallas Athena has beguiled me. Death is now indeed closing in upon me, no longer far distant, and there is no escape. So it has been willed of old by Zeus and his son, who strikes from afar, though heretofore they have been ever minded to aid me. Now, however, my doom is upon me. Let me not die ingloriously and without a struggle, but let me first do some great thing that shall be told among men hereafter."
They charged against each other once more. Hector was wearing the armour of Achilles that he had stripped from Patroclus. Achilles found the weak spot around his neck, and his spear pierced the fleshy part. Because his windpipe was not severed, Hector was able to utter one final plea.
"I pray you by your life, by your knees and by your parents, let not the dogs devour me at the ships of the Achaeans, but accept the gold and bronze which my father and mother will bring you, and give up my body to my own people, that the Trojans and their wives may give me my dues of fire when I am dead."
Achilles replied with visceral hatred,
Dog, talk not to me, neither of knees nor parents. Would that I could be as sure of being able to cut your flesh into pieces and eat it raw for the ill you have done me, as I am, that nothing shall save you from the dogs. No, not though they bring 10 or 20 times the ransom, and here it should be offered. Aye, were it to be weighed out in gold, and Priam, son of Dardanus, were to bid them pay thy weight in gold. Not even so shall thy mother lay thee on a bed to mourn thee, but dogs and vultures shall eat thee.
With his last breath, Hector prophesied,
"I know you too well, and foresee that I shall not move you, for your heart is of iron. See to it that I do not bring the gods' curse upon you, on the day when Paris and Phoebus Apollo destroy you at the Scaean gates for all your valour.
Achilles then pierced Hector's heels, bound him to his chariot, and dragged the body through the dust of Troy, causing immense pain to Hector's family. The desecration of Hector's body offended the gods. Guided by Hermes, King Priam entered the Greek camp. He knelt before Achilles, kissing the hands of his son's killer. Moved by the sight of the grieving father, Achilles returned the body, concluding the Iliad with Hector's funeral. However, the war raged on. As detailed in the Aethiopis and Quintus Smyrnius's Post-Homerica, translated by A.S. Way, after Hector's funeral, the Trojans were bolstered by the Amazon queen Penthesilea and the Ethiopian king Memnon. Achilles slew them both, but his victory was short-lived. Following the prophecy of Hector and his own horse Xanthus, Achilles pushed his pursuit to the Scaean gates, and there met his end. While Homer concluded the Iliad with Hector's funeral, the death of Achilles became a focal point for later poets who sought to expand upon the hero's fate. Quintus Smyrnaeus. In Post-Homerica Book 3, translated by A.S. Way, the narrative shifts to the divine sphere. Apollo, no longer hiding behind mortal proxies, descends in his terrifying majesty to the battlefield. He physically manifests in front of the Greek army and looses the fatal shaft himself, striking Achilles in the heel to conclude the hero's life. Ovid. In Metamorphoses, Book 12, translated by A.S. Klein, the account is driven by vengeance. Ovid describes Poseidon approaching Apollo to seek retribution for the death of his nephew's sickness. Apollo listens to the plea and descends to the walls of Troy, where he personally guides the arrow of Paris into the vulnerable spot of the Greek hero. Hyginus's Fabulae. Mary Grant's editing and translation of Fabulae records. After Hector's burial, when Achilles was wandering along the ramparts of the Trojans and saying that he alone had reduced Troy, Apollo, in anger, taking the form of Alexander Paris, struck him with an arrow on the heel, which was said to be vulnerable, and killed him. The fall of the greatest Greek warrior triggered a day-long, blood-soaked battle over his corpse. Ajax and Odysseus eventually managed to drag his body back to the ships. A massive funeral was held, during which the Muses themselves sang in lamentation. Finally, we return to the promise of Book 23 of the Iliad. In a dream, the spirit of Patroclus had begged,
"One prayer more will I make you, if you will grant it. Let not my bones be laid apart from yours, Achilles, but with them, even as we were brought up together in your own home. What time Menoetius brought me to you as a child from Epoeis, because by a sad spite I had killed the son of Amphidamas, not of set purpose, but in childish quarrel over the dice. The knight Peleus took me into his house, entreated me kindly, and named me to be your squire. Therefore let our bones lie in but a single urn, the two-handled golden vase given to you by your mother."
The Greeks honoured this request. His bones were mingled with those of his companion in that single golden urn, placed in a high mound overlooking the Hellespont. The rage, the glory, and the tragedy of the Trojan War finally found rest, not in the halls of Olympus, but in the final union of two men who, in life and in death, could not be separated.